He turned to Brandon, his voice low but lethal. "Explain the missing funds." Brandon froze, then scrambled. "It's temporary," he said quickly. "Liquidity repositioning. I can return everything by the end of the month. Stop lying." The words cracked across the table like a whip. Silence, heavy, oppressive. Then Darius turned his gaze, slowly, deliberately, to Scarlet, the golden child. "You," he said, his voice colder now, "opened my safe." Scarlet's breath hitched. If that money is not returned by the end of the week," Darius leaned forward, eyes burning with something far darker than anger. "I will personally feed your husband to the wolves." Scarlet nearly collapsed. The room felt like it shrank around her. Darius stood abruptly, straightening his suit jacket, as if regaining control of the entire universe through sheer force of will. But beneath it, desperation. "We have a problem," he announced. "The church accounts are dangerously low. The bank is already asking questions." No one spoke. "We need a massive influx of capital. Immediately, before the Board of Elders demands a formal audit." He paused, then smiled. "Not warmth, not hope, ambition. I'm announcing an emergency fundraising event, the greatest this city has ever seen." He looked around the table, pointing with precision. "This weekend we host the anniversary church gala." The words landed like a final gamble. "The mayor, the governor, every major donor, they will all be there." His voice rose, fueled by obsession. "We raised $30 million in one night." Then came the assignments. Rapid, ruthless. "Evelyn, you handle catering and venue. Scarlet, invitations, every high-value contact. Brandon, you prepare a financial presentation. Convince those rich fools to open their checkbooks." His gaze swept over all of them. "Nobody sleeps until this is perfect. This gala saves this family." I kept my head down, hiding the smile threatening to break through. Triumphant, sharp. Darius thought he was building a golden lifeboat, a way to escape the storm. He had no idea. He was building a stage. And on that stage, Desmond and I were going to destroy him. In front of everyone. The morning of the gala arrived like the calm before a carefully engineered storm. Darius stormed through the estate corridors, barking orders at a small army of planners, florists, and caterers. His voice echoed with authority, with control, with delusion. He rehearsed his grand speech under his breath, already picturing the applause, the salvation. Meanwhile, Brandon looked like a man already buried. Pale, sweating. His bloodshot eyes darted constantly, scanning every doorway, every shadow. Waiting. Terrified that federal agents might burst in at any moment. That night, I expected to sit at the VIP table. I should have known better. Evelyn stopped me before I could even step into the main hall. "You are not family," she said flatly. "You never have been." The words didn't sting. Not anymore. "You are a charity case," she continued. "Something Darius took pity on years ago, and you've been an embarrassment ever since." She shoved a plastic bag into my hands. "I fired 3 catering staff this morning, cost-cutting." Her lips curled slightly. "You'll take their place." I looked down at the uniform inside. "You'll stay in the service corridors. You will not speak to the VIP guests. You will not be seen. Do you understand?" I looked up at her and smiled. "Of course, Mother," I said smoothly, calmly. "I'll stay in the shadows." A small pause. "I'll make sure tonight is unforgettable." Evelyn blinked. She had expected resistance. Begging. Not this. Not acceptance. Her eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering before she turned sharply and walked away. The megachurch glittered like a palace. Crystal chandeliers bathed the massive hall in blinding light. Wealth and power filled the room in tailored suits and designer gowns. I stepped out from the chaos of the catering kitchen, a silver tray of bacon-wrapped scallops balanced effortlessly in my hands. Head down, invisible, perfect. I moved through the crowd like I belonged nowhere and everywhere. Darius stood near the stage, practicing his humble smile in a mirror. Brandon paced near the VIP tables, obsessively checking his lifeless phone. Neither of them noticed me. Good, I didn't stop. I moved toward the back. Years of appraising commercial properties had given me something invaluable. Knowledge, layouts, blind spots. And this building, I knew it better than anyone in that room. I reached the door to the main audiovisual control booth. Paused, then leaned slightly, peering through the narrow glass window. Inside, one technician. Young, nervous, completely overwhelmed by the massive soundboard in front of him. Perfect. Jasmine didn't knock. She opened the control room door slowly, just enough to slip inside. The young technician barely looked up, his fingers fumbling across the soundboard. "Hey, this system is glitching," Jasmine said softly, stepping in like she belonged there. They need the presentation synced with the main stage feed. The technician exhaled in relief. Oh, thank God, I thought I was messing something up. They gave me like 10 minutes of training for this. I'll take over, Jasmine said, already moving behind him. He hesitated for half a second, then nodded. Yeah, please, I don't want to mess this up. Don't worry, she smiled. You won't. On stage, Darius adjusted his cufflinks as the lights dimmed slightly. The room quieted. All eyes turned forward. This was his moment, his salvation. He stepped up to the podium, his voice warm, practiced, powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, friends, polite applause rippled through the hall. Tonight, we gather not just to celebrate faith but to build a future, a legacy, a mission that will outlive all of us. In the back of the room, Jasmine sat in front of the control console. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Calm, steady, precise. On her screen, multiple video feeds lined up like weapons ready to fire. Security footage, bank transfers, signed documents, hidden camera clips, every sin, every lie, every betrayal, carefully collected, carefully timed. She slipped in a small flash drive. Click. Uploaded. Let's begin, she whispered. Darius continued, his voice rising with conviction. Tonight, we aim to raise $30 million to expand our outreach to serve communities The screen behind him flickered, just once. Subtle, barely noticeable. Darius paused, glanced back, then continued. To bring hope where there is none, the screen flickered again, this time longer. A ripple of murmurs spread through the audience. Back in the control room, Jasmine hit enter. The screen exploded to life, not with the church logo, not with the fundraising visuals, but with a bank statement. Clear, massive, impossible to ignore, millions of dollars transferred. Gasps echoed through the hall. Darius froze. What is this? He snapped, turning toward the tech booth. But it didn't stop. The next clip rolled. Security footage. Brandon, late at night, accessing restricted accounts, moving money, hiding trails. No, cut that feed, Brandon shouted, panic breaking through his composure. Too late, another clip. Scarlett, in her father's office, hands shaking, opening the safe, taking the cash. The room erupted. Whispers turned into chaos. Phones came out. Recording, streaming, capturing everything. Scarlett staggered back, her face ghost white. I didn't, but the footage said everything. Darius gripped the podium so tightly his knuckles turned white. Shut it down, he roared, but the system was no longer his. Jasmine stood, stepped out of the control room, and walked calmly toward the stage, invisible no more. The final video began, a clean, crisp compilation. Contracts, shell companies, money trails leading back not just to Brandon, but to Darius. Silence fell again, heavier this time, deadly. The truth was no longer hidden, it was undeniable, projected, magnified, permanent. Jasmine reached the stage, took the steps slowly, deliberately. Darius turned toward her, and for the first time he looked afraid. You, he breathed. Jasmine smiled, not kindly, not gently, but with cold, surgical precision. You built this empire on lies, she said, her voice carrying effortlessly through the stunned hall. And tonight, she glanced around at the cameras, the donors, the officials. I gave you the audience you always wanted. And then the doors slammed open. Hard, violent, final. Federal agents, nobody move. The room froze. Men and women in dark jackets flooded the hall, badges flashing under the chandelier lights. At the center of them, Desmond. Calm, controlled, unstoppable. His eyes locked onto Jasmine. A silent confirmation. Perfect timing. Agents surged forward. One grabbed Brandon, slamming his hands onto the table as he struggled. No, you don't understand, I can explain. Save it, the agent snapped, cuffing him. Scarlett broke down completely, sobbing as another agent pulled her aside. Darius didn't move. He stood there, frozen, as Desmond approached him slowly. Measured, deliberate. You should have stopped when it was just greed, Desmond said quietly. Darius let out a hollow laugh. This is a mistake. Desmond tilted his head slightly. No, he said, this is the audit. The cuffs clicked around Darius's wrists. Sharp, echoing, final. Around them the empire collapsed in real time, donors backing away, officials whispering, phones recording everything. The mighty. Exposed, destroyed. Jasmine stepped back into the shadows once more, watching, breathing it all in, years of humiliation. Pain, silence, all of it, repaid with interest. Desmond passed by her as agents escorted Darius out. For a brief second he slowed, just enough. "You did it," he murmured. Jasmine's eyes remained on the chaos unfolding. "No," she said softly, "they did this to themselves. They called me nothing. A burden, a mistake that never should have been brought into their perfect world. They built their empire on lies and called it faith. They stole, manipulated, destroyed lives, and smiled while doing it." Outside, sirens wailed into the night. Inside, the illusion was gone, and nothing would ever be the same again. Months later, the mansion was gone, the church seized, the accounts liquidated. Darius sat in a federal prison cell, his sermons replaced by silence. Brandon faced decades behind bars, every victim testifying. Evelyn worked a retail counter. Ignored, forgotten. Scarlett? No more designer brands, no more spotlight, just reality. Weeks later, a quiet balcony, city lights glowing. Jasmine stood beside Desmond. No anger, no rage, just peace. "You got it all back," he said softly. She shook her head. "No," she said, "I got something better." She looked at him, smiled. "My father." Desmond's voice broke. "My daughter." They embraced, not in victory, but in healing. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from today, so leave a comment below and tell me what you thought about the ending. If you enjoyed this story and want more like it, make sure to subscribe to the My Revenge Space channel, like this video, and share the good news to everyone. Until next time, stay strong and stay free.